Kate, and live news event now as we cross to Houghton here in Johannesburg, where the South African Institute of Chartered Accountants is hosting an important panel discussion on the country's economic woes. Among the issues to be discussed, the recent credit downgrades. Professor Wiseman Nkuhlu is giving the opening address. Let's listen in.
The project of the Nkuhlu Trust and the South African Institute of Chartered Accountants. I wish to thank most sincerely the Nelson Mandela Foundation for embracing the idea of the Courageous Conversation series and accepting our invitation to partner SAICA in sponsoring this project. And when we're having a conversation before coming in here, the chief executive of the Nelson Mandela Foundation confirmed that this is a partnership. We're going to be working together on this project. I thank the foundation for offering to host the first event in this historic venue, the Nelson Mandela Center of Memory. We look forward to a long-term partnership with the Nelson Mandela Foundation, as we believe that the Courageous Conversation series are going to be about rebuilding the South Africa of President Mandela's dreams. It is significant that we meet on the day that he was inaugurated as the first president of a non-racial, non-sexist democratic South Africa. The primary purpose of the series is to provide a platform for professionals and business leaders to deliberate and to make contributions to the national debate on key socio-economic issues that are crucial to the people of South Africa, realizing the South Africa they imagined possible in 1994. The conversations will not be constrained by the narratives that characterize current debates, but will, of course, analyze and take into account current realities. The thrust will be on assisting the people of South Africa and hopefully Africa in reimagining a better future, as well as mapping out a path to that future. The conversations will reconnect to the ideals and dreams of our forefathers who led the struggle against slavery and colonialism in the 19th and 20th century, and will also analyze and draw lessons from the experiences of other nations who were colonized or defeated and humiliated, but managed to rise again and to regain their sense of self-respect and confidence, as well as reclaiming control of their destiny. The conversation will also deliberately focus on what policies and interventions will best position South Africa and Africa to take advantage of the opportunities, as well as manage risks that have come to characterize the 21st century. At the center is the explosion of scientific and technological advances and the need to ensure that we enhance our ability to harness and domesticate these advances and to underpin our own development. Ian Golden and Chris Kutama, in their book, Age of Discovery, Navigating the Risks and Rewards of a New Renaissance, highlight a combination of factors that have converged in the last 30 years to create ideal conditions for a renaissance that could encompass the whole of humanity. The factors include the end of the Cold War, integration of China into the global economy, increased entanglement of the world through trade, capital flows, and multi-jurisdictional manufacturing arrangements. They also highlight unprecedented advances in science, technology, and the internet, and the sharing of information enabled by the internet across the globe, resulting in easy access to cutting-edge knowledge. They believe that these developments have created great opportunities for developing countries to close the gap between themselves and the highly industrialized countries. Yes, there are risks that have to be navigated, but they should not be an excuse for doing nothing. Failure to respond imaginatively will result in further marginalization and hardship for the peoples of developing countries. However, those who grasp the opportunity and manage the risks well will be able to achieve what China has achieved in the last 30 years, or even better. The question is, do we have an appreciation of these trends? Even more importantly, is the leadership in our country interested in adapting thinking and planning to address opportunities and risk in the unfolding environment? Coming back to the series, the aim is to open a platform for honest, robust, evidence-based conversations that are informed by the wisdom of other nations. South Africa has a lot to learn from other countries, and we should be open to these lessons. The series will place at the center the need to develop and uplift the scientific and technological capacity of our nation. Science in this context, meaning not just natural science, but science meaning a systematized knowledge derived from observation, study, and experimentation carried in order to determine the nature and principles of whatever is being studied. The reason I'm making these explanations is because I'm going to be talking to young people in the months that are coming, and I will use this as the foundation. The origins of science as an approach to producing new knowledge or validating existing beliefs or practices can be traced to the Greeks, Indians, and the Islamic Golden Age. So it is not simply a Western invention. I would also add that science and scientific methods can also be traced to other civilizations, including the Africans who introduced irrigation and built the great pyramids of Giza in Egypt between 2580 BC and 2500 BC. And of course to China and to the Incas and Aztecs of South America. As a young political activist in the late 1960s, I got preoccupied with the challenge of identifying the key interventions that would be crucial to Africa's development. I'm still preoccupied with this search to this day. However, I tend to gravitate towards the four priorities: ensuring that political leadership is inspired by the national interest and an inclusive empowerment of the people as opposed to being driven by patronage and corruption for the benefit of itself and the exclusive elite. Creation of a conducive environment for citizens to feel free, secure, and confident to be productive and creative to meet their own needs. Supporting the development of the scientific and technological capacity of the citizens and supporting access to essential services, including education, healthcare, water, energy, transport, etc. My view is that African countries, including South Africa, are preoccupied with the second and the fourth priorities, and not with the first and the third. Our development approaches do not prioritize the development of human capital, and putting it more succinctly, the upliftment of science and technological capacity of our citizens. Our approach to education is very orthodox and not transformative. The issue of uplifting the scientific and technological capacity as well as entrepreneurship does not feature prominently in our national narrative. Our investments are not only inadequate, but also unstrategic and with no clearly defined goals and timeframes. Even more disconcerting, we do not value education as we should. we do not treasure the integrity and quality of our education. We tolerate mediocrity in our schools and destroy them when we are angry. I must say this is a puzzle to me because the evidence is there. Virtually all the countries that came from behind to significantly reduce poverty and improve access to basic services for their citizens, as well as end dependence on highly industrialized countries for the development and production of the technologies that we use these days, prioritize what I'm advocating here. We all know the countries, Japan, South Korea, Malaysia, Vietnam, and more recently China. What is even more puzzling is that our forefathers, the pioneers of the liberation struggle, including William Du Bois, Kwame Nkrumah, and the early leaders of the African National Congress, recognized that behind colonization and racism was a perception by Europeans that they were superior because of their advances in science and industrialization, and that when black people obtain their freedom, they will have to work with speed to industrialize. In South Africa, we all mourned the inferior Bantu education, which was aimed at excluding blacks from the mainstream economy. All liberation movements promised radical transformation to education and skills development, and to take radical steps to uplift the scientific and technological capacity of black people. Come liberation, the commitment is forgotten. It disappears from the narrative. As a consequence, after 23 years of freedom, we sit with high levels of poverty and unemployment and limited African participation in the mainstream economy. In the 2016 World Economic Forum's Global Technology Report, South Africa is ranked last in mathematics and science education quality, and number 137 of 139 out of 139 countries on overall quality of our education system. On the issue of entrepreneurship, Moeletsi Mbeki, in his book entitled Advocates of Change, highlights education, entrepreneurship, agriculture, and rural development as the three sectors that need to be prioritized and radically transformed for the country to make inroads on poverty, unemployment, and inequality on a sustainable basis. The authors of the three chapters give detailed analysis of what is wrong and what changes are necessary to fix the problems. The obvious question is, why are these fundamental issues that are so crucial to Africans gaining self-reliance and becoming meaningful actors in the economies of their countries, as well as gaining respect as meaningful participants in the global economy, not a priority in our politics? What is driving the agenda of our politics and whose interests are paramount? The people or the politicians and the elite? It is reported that President Barack Obama made the following remarks during his visit to Africa in 2009. Colonialism alone does not explain the tribalism, patronage, nepotism, corruption, and self-destructive policies that have caused the continent's development to slip so far behind its people's needs and its peers in other regions. The tragedy is that things are not getting any better. We seem to be reproducing the same kind of leadership that has failed Africa in the past, and even our new political parties repeat policies and slogans that have proven to be disastrous in the past. The question is, how do we get out of this hole? My thesis, therefore, is that through the Courageous Conversation series, research and advocacy work that will be integral to the project, we will make unique and focused contributions to transformation. We will target university students, young graduates and professionals, engage them in conversations about where we are as a country and how we can transcend to a better future. Talk about our history and how it can be an anchor and not a burden as we move forward. Hopefully, we will explore the changes that we need to effect for us to realize a better future of our imagination. Changes in our mindset and behaviors, and also changes to our country and its institutions. Sorry. Our work will encompass all professionals and business-related skills. We already have many role models. You know, entrepreneurs, I can mention quite a number, and also role models, young South Africans who obtain their PhDs and get recognized by the National Research Foundation every year. We've got many young South Africans who qualify as professionals in engineering, in the chartered accountancy profession. So we have professionals that possibly provide a basis. But my point, however, is that we do not have a critical mass. This project is going to be about telling the stories of our achievers, mobilizing increased support for higher level education and training and entrepreneurship. It will champion this cause with government and the private sector. Above all, motivate young people to believe in themselves and to think of careers and role models outside politics. Be motivated by the desire to find solutions to the problems we face as a nation, to participate in the development of new technologies as well as starting their own businesses. This initiative will be a catalyst that will foster a new national consciousness, a consciousness that is anchored on a strong sense of self-confidence and belief that we can achieve greatness. A consciousness that says we will not allow our past painful experiences of colonialism, racism, and land dispossession to paralyze or incapacitate us. We will rise and embrace the vision of a better future that we will build with our ingenuity and diligence. The past happened, and we cannot change it.
And we are going to break away from that for just a moment. Professor Wiseman Nkuhlu giving the opening address to the first in a series of dialogues that's taking place in Houghton in Johannesburg. We will return there a little later. This is Newsnight.
Flying fish is different from other beers, with all the bitterness brewed out and delicious flavors brewed in. See for yourself.